Briefly tell me your role and kind of what your day-to-day looks like.
Okay, I'm Vice President at Bright Star Solutions. I'm responsible for all the finance functions, including operational reporting, financial reporting, and as much operational support as needed.
Awesome. Before you started working with Dominate, what was broken? What in your systems led you to?
So we were a growing company, and we were operating in QuickBooks at the time. We had bringing on more and more employees and processing payroll. The time it took to handle operational reporting, job level reporting, and even our financial reporting, it was very time consuming. And it was very antiquated, very manually paper driven, and we just didn't see that scalable to where we wanted to grow.
Was there one specific thing, whether it was reporting or field time reports or anything like that, that made you like, we for sure have to go get a new solution?
The main thing that drove that was payroll reporting. As a union contractor,
Okay.
we have to report to many different locals. There are different pay rules for all of those locals, and all of those things were being calculated manually. And so the reporting that you could pull out of our previous system and all the requirements, it just made it too tedious and too time consuming and too much of a risk for us to continue down that path. That was really the deciding factor, that we said we have to do this. We can't wait. But there were a lot of other things that contributed to that decision. But payroll was really our driving.
So when you started, looking for a solution, kind of walk me through that, right? How you found Dominate, how that kind of, that initial sales, qualification in your mind.
So yeah, we looked at a lot of the big solutions that were out there. We had some familiarity, in our search team. We had familiarity with different products, but we were really looking for something that was going to be web-based, that we could access from anywhere, give multiple user access, things like that would give us a lot more flexibility than being tied to a server, to a desktop, and so through that search, we found Acumatica, and we're really intrigued by it, and so we reached out to Acumatica, and they partnered us with Dominate to give us a demo, and that's kind of led us to our decision.
In that demo, was there anything that you saw that was a deciding factor?
So we got some demonstrations from several softwares. The difference maker for us, and one of the things that really led us to decide to go with Dominate and Acumatica, was the level of effort that was put into that demonstration. Whereas everything else that we saw was very generic, more or less, start with a dashboard and here's our capability and discussion. Dominate took the time to get some base level information, to load it into Acumatica and to demo what the system could do based upon our own information, and address really what our needs were. And that really was impactful for us, and was a deciding factor for us to go with Acumatica.
Would you say that Dominate understood your business and took the time to really understand your business?
Yeah, especially at the outset, the whole team kind of were dedicated to understanding what our particular needs were, what our particular challenges were, and tailoring the solution to those needs versus showing us what was out of the box and asking us to adapt our business to the solution.
Sure.
So,
during the discovery and just the initial working with Dominate, were there parts that you didn't even consider, or things that they brought up that made you think further on them and whether or not it would be a solution that you would need in the future?
Yeah, we knew there were things that we wanted to solve for, but we knew that we wanted that web-based solution. We knew we needed something that was going to help us process payroll, but Dominate was able to bring to the table additional solutions that we hadn't considered, for like a web-based timekeeping software that previously we had not been considered, but they brought us those solutions, and we ultimately decided to go with them.
Do you think that Rob, as well as Dominate's industry experience, was shown that they knew versus just being an implementer?
Yeah. There was definitely a difference. I've worked with other implementation teams before who didn't have specific industry experience, didn't understand our needs. It was very refreshing to work with Rob and his team that showed that they understood construction services and specifically what we would need, and we're able to tailor a solution to us.
We started the implementation. Did Dominate make that implementation feel manageable, as it's quite a process?
It is, and not only that, we decided not only to change over to our ERP system, but we did implement a web-based timekeeping solution and a new payroll processing solution all at the same time. So all those switches were thrown at once, and it was a major undertaking. Rob and his team were able to break it down into digestible chunks and to educate us as we went along, to demo the system for us, to show us what it could do, and help us think through how we could configure a system that was going to give us the best results when we got to the other end of it. They really thought through and learned the business, and so it wasn't left up to us, to say here's how we need it. They would come back to us and say, have you thought about doing it this way? Or the system can do this for you. Is this something you'd be interested in? And so we didn't have to have all the solutions in our mind. They were able to come to us, and collaboratively we came to what we thought was the best fit.
Just support-wise during the implementation, did you feel like the support you got from them?
Yeah.
Talk on that a little.
Yeah, it's a major undertaking. You're having to learn a system and to try to imagine all the scenarios in the future, and to try to determine what information you're going to need to carry over from one system to the next. Rob and his team were able to guide us in that, and to help us really think through, when you get on the other side of this, you may want to consider, using this information, bringing this information over. And, they were really supportive in helping us translate our information, bring it into the new system, and make it usable once we got past implementation. What
is the biggest win you've experienced since making the change, if you could think of one?
There's several. Again, we implemented. We did implement a payroll processing system that was that plugged into Acumatica, and we implemented a web-based timekeeping solution. So with OpsEdge, that has cut our timekeeping down to a fraction of what it was previously. Used to, all day Monday was dedicated to gathering timesheets, and combining timesheets, verifying timesheets, entering those in manually, and then starting the payroll process and having to turn that around in a day. Whereas that used to take 3 or 4 people. Now we're down to 2 people that handle that job, and usually it's done by 10 a.m. on Monday morning. So that was a significant win. The accuracy of our payrolls has improved. And then outside of just the payroll impact, the level of reporting that we can get out of Acumatica, the operational reporting that we can send to our operations managers and operations team, all of those things have been major wins for us.
So those all clearly point to more time.
Yeah, so it makes better information, better decisions based upon better information, and more time available to do other tasks or to improve the business from our team.
With that extra time you've now really cleared up, has there been a trend or things that have just happened in the business, whether it's growth or things like that are a direct result, you think, because of the time? Yeah,
I think that, since from the time that we implemented Acumatica and our other solutions, the business has grown pretty significantly. We've probably added 25% top line in that time. Our admin team has not really grown that much, just because we're able to do more with less people. So it really has been a game changer in terms of managing workload and taking some of that what was previously manual burden off of our administrative staff, and making them more efficient.
If someone was in your shoes where you guys were at the beginning, and they're on the fence about switching ERPs, what would you tell them?
I think that for our solution, I think that was absolutely the right decision. There's always that trepidation at the beginning whenever you're about to switch systems. I've gone through it a few times myself, and there's always that fear of, is this solution? We're gonna incur the cost, we're gonna incur the time, then we're gonna incur the disruption to the business, and when we get to the other side of it, is it going to be worth it? Are we going to be significantly better? I think that from our experience that we've had with Acumatica, with OpsEdge, and with Dominate, I think that the solutions that we got were perfectly suited to our business and have made us a better company overall. So it is scary, it is costly, but I would say that sometimes that risk is worth it, and it certainly should consider making that jump.
Why does the right implementation partner matter just as much as the actual software?
So I've gone down this road a few times with multiple implementation partners, and the result that you get is almost always dependent upon your implementation partner. You can take what is a great system and poorly implement it and not get the result that you need. And so the implementation partner, understanding your business and understanding your needs and being able to take that solution and tailor it to the company is absolutely key in having a successful ERP transition. If you don't have the right implementation partner, your ERP implementation is almost certainly going to fail.
With the better visibility and just the time saving on that side of things, what does that allow you to do now as a leader of your company?
So, many years ago, I had a chief financial officer that told me that a well-rounded financial organization at its basic should be able to report what the business does, but along the maturity curve, you go from reporting well to being able to predict well to being able to influence results well. And so, previously, before we made that transition to Acumatica and to OpsEdge, we were in that hopefully we can report well stage. Since we've made this transition, it's freed up time to where we can now understand our results better. We can predict where those results are going to land, and we're getting to the point where we can influence those results as a finance organization and to better support our operations team to say, here's how we need to make changes, and here's how we can drive profitability within the company.
What do you feel that Dominate understood about your business that others might have missed or previous implementations?
Yeah, so every industry has its quirks. Every industry has particular needs, and I felt like Dominate came in with an understanding about what was the needs of a construction services company, and for the things that they didn't know, they took the time to understand those and to learn about our business and learn about our needs and why those things were important, and that was again a major difference maker for us. In that if you don't have somebody with that understanding or don't have somebody to drive to get those results that you feel are important, then it puts your whole ERP implementation at risk.
If someone is thinking about an ERP and you're telling them if you're thinking about an ERP, don't do it until you what?
Well, I think for us it would be don't do it until you do your research and find the right implementation partner. Feel comfortable in the person that's going to help you implement the solution. I can't stress how strongly that I feel that implementation partner is the key to a successful transition. You can take a good solution and turn it into a bad one just by not tailoring the solution as you need it.
Before Dominate, we were
very manual. We were very blind to the business results. And we were a little bit backwards in our processes. After Dominate, we've been able to become more efficient in our administrative operations, have more visibility into our operational results, and overall more profitable.
The biggest thing that the Dominate team helped fix for you, which I think you kind of hinted on the payroll, but
yeah, I think again, one of the things that we as a company had that was our biggest risk was our payroll processing. Again, we're all union, and so as a union payroll processor, you have a high degree of high responsibility to make sure that you were reporting and remitting all the benefits payments to the right union locals, and we were running a significant risk of not being able to do that if we did not make a transition.
Do you have any immediately? I was going to switch to OpsEdge. Did I miss any points?
Yeah, you wouldn't know on this one. They take extreme ownership of their process and their solutions. And what I mean by that is they, more so than any customer that I can ever remember that I worked with, they figure out absorb everything. They want to know how to do it all. And that's, I think, part of the reason they're so successful is because a lot of customers just want the easy button. Just tell me what to do. They want to know the why, the how, the where.
And that's why they've had so much results from it.
Yeah.
The way you have.
Because where you can kind of go down, leading them down that path, and then like one example would be, Todd, like generic inquiries.
Yeah.
Understanding the data model. Because if a customer doesn't understand the data, they're never going to be able to be self-sufficient.
You're the one choosing the ERP. What is, over the process that you've been through it, what responsibility do you feel, if you're talking to somebody that was in your shoes, that should they know that when you're taking on an ERP, what responsibility do you have besides just the out-of-the-box ERP that you're getting?
Yeah, I think you have to understand what that solution can provide for you, and you have to make sure that you have to understand that nothing's going to be 100% solution. There's not going to be a solution out there that is going to provide you everything you need, on day one. And so you have to look at that, and you have to develop those things. And so, working with Rob and working with Dominate, what we've been able to do is to understand that what data is available through Acumatica, how we can access that data, how we can leverage that data, and we've developed a lot of tools that have been able to make our solutions where they are push button. We've been able to get at that information, write reports that are automatically updatable, and automatically send those out to our operations managers on a weekly basis. So you do have to put in the work to get the result, and not everything is going to be there out of the box on day one. It was a process. Once we went through implementation, you learn the system, and you learn what it can do for you, and you learn the underlying information and how it can get make that information available to the decision makers in the company. And we've been able to do that, and we've been very successful at implementing operational reporting that we just had no access to before.
These are the things you need to think about, and these are the things you need to take serious in this process.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So a couple things that have in my experience that have caused either the ERP implementation to fail or to struggle is trying to recreate your previous system in the new system. The new system, you're going to a new system for a reason. Don't feel like you have to be locked in to your old nomenclature or the old processes. How can you adapt the company if it's needed to the new system? How can you think about different ways to use the information or to access information or to organize the information to get better solutions? And you really need to be flexible in thinking about is there a better mousetrap? Is there a better way of doing that? That doesn't mean you have to change your business to meet an ERP, but you do have to be flexible in thinking about is there a better way to organize and execute than the way I'm doing it now?
Love that. Okay, let's say you're in the middle of the implementation, and something came up, and it is a giant headache, and you are in the middle of the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell yourself now, or that person that's in the trenches?
Well, we had a few of those. We had a few of those during our implementation. It's just the way that implementations go. There are unforeseen things that are going to happen. There's no way to predict, every scenario. And so you get into the middle of an implementation, you realize we did not consider this, and it's painful. And sometimes it causes delays, and those are painful. But ultimately, you made a decision, to make this change because you had a need. You need to push through and make sure that you put all the right effort into making sure the result you get is going to be good for you there. Don't sell it short and try to take a shortcut out of it.
Again, we want to speak directly to that person that's on the fence, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say they need this, they want it, everything, but they just can't get over the price because in their mind, right, their solution, they can put extra time but save money. So just kind of speak on to that a little. Yeah.
Trying to justify the cost of the ERP implementation is always tough. But I think when you really boil it down to it, you need to look at what are the hidden costs that you're incurring by doing things either manually or inefficiently in the system you're in now. If you look at it and you understand that by upgrading and going to a different ERP solution, You can make your admin staff more efficient. You can drive profitability from your operations. Those costs by far will offset the cost of the ERP implementation. If that doesn't make sense, then maybe you need to make a different solution. But I think that, if you're already considering it, then usually those savings are there.